Hey, everybody, welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McGellis, and today it is my honor to have my friend, Dr. Autumn Edwards, come on and share about what's going on in her world, personally and business wise and energetically. But first, I want to ask each and every one of you to hit that like, subscribe, and share button and leave us a comment if you have an opportunity. Welcome, Dr. Edwards. What's up, girl?
Hey Sandra, thanks so much for having me with you today. It's always so much fun and I just absolutely adore you. So thank you so much for including me in the space that you're creating.
I love it. And we got time to actually physically play in the same location last week, which was so much fun.
I
You know,
know.
it was just the time just went by too quick. It just went by too quick. But Sedona is such a rare beauty of a place to be for many. That's why it attracts so many. But it's different living there. I know that. And working your business from there, you're in all kinds of vortexes of energy. And then you're creating vortexes of energy from the portals of which that are around you. So let's talk about what it is you do.
Well, it, I don't know how to pinpoint what it is that I do. I just show up, right? And I catalyze what is already in existence for people. It's just they're trying to find their way through. And I typically draw in people who have been on the path, who've been doing the work, who have already achieved certain milestones and reached certain elements of expansion in their own right. And they're preparing to go into that next elevation, that next, what we can call ascension point. And so being in Sedona, and leaning on the energies that are here, it can be a pretty radical ride, and you just have to be ready to like buckle up and hold on as you know source is carrying you through. And hopefully I'm one of those emissaries of source to be able to offer that support through that wormhole of personal evolution. And so I tend to work with other healers and I tend to work with business leaders who can feel and sense the thing they're molding and the thing that they're developing. But when you're trying to organize chaos, having assistance is instrumental in order to optimize your potential and your success. So those are the individuals I tend to, we can say mentor, we can say guide, we can say be a reflection of what they have in themselves. And so it's just really exciting to be able to really offer that in that great service.
Yeah, it's a beautiful collaboration to get everyone to the next level because we all know when we're working with somebody, we both excel, we both are
Mm-hmm.
uplifted. But you're a doctor of acupuncture, Native American shamanic work, trauma release, and all kinds of other things that you do. And you
Mm-hmm.
do work with individuals and groups and so on. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
drawing in businesses and some other things, people do not have to be in your physical presence. They can do a lot of things via Zoom, a lot of energy work and trauma releasing
Mm-hmm.
through Zoom. Um, so there's a lot of meridian lines and things you're still working, even though you're not, energetically doing individual needles for certain things
Right.
because you're well advanced into that. So, well, tell us a little bit about what that looks like. Let's just say I was a healer and I
Mm-hmm.
worked with a lot of people. Now I know that, and as you do too, we who are in this line of work are extremely empathic, we're highly sensitive, and we have a tendency to go a little overboard. Oh, let's just add another one in. We can do this. I've got this. Until we realize, ooh, I have not been taking enough time to clear and
Mm-hmm.
to work on my own stuff. And of course, hearing everybody else's stuff triggers the triggers within you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we may think, I've got this, I can do it. So if I was doing all of that and I was to come to you, what might that unfold like? What would that look like?
It's going to be different for everyone. So, a lot of practitioners have protocols that they implement. They're like, okay, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. It's like a recipe. And that's great. And I appreciate the recipe. And when you're working at a space of something that's new, something that's burgeoning to come into form, protocols and recipes don't really apply, right? Like you can't take something old to make something new specifically, right? And you have to completely reconstitute it. And so every time I sit with somebody, whether it's via Zoom, whether it's via traditional audio call or in physical presence, I am approaching them as though I'm approaching them for the first time. I want to know where they are now. And so every single experience is brand new based upon what has transpired since our previous meeting. And so it really is a timeless experience. And so it can appear from a position of what are you struggling with right now? Like what is consuming you? What do you want to focus on? So I'll ask them, I'll invite them, like, what is hindering you? And then I'll psychically look at what's attached to that for them. And it will spread into their field, and we're able to see, oh, well, this is related to your mom, or this is related to, a great ancestor, or this is related to this specific moment in time, or this is related to a collective experience. Right now, there's so much evolution happening that a lot of people that are in this acceleration of expansion are working on collective concepts, collective lessons, collective growth. And so through them as a portal, we're able to access the multidimensional ways in which this thought form, this concept, this evolution of awareness for the whole is being directed by them, through them, and with them. And so we're able to work through that piece that they're carrying and how that is influencing their own immediate experiences and relationships. And that might look like what some people might call coaching. That might look like shamanic energy work. That might look like psychic counsel. That might look like acupuncture. And it might look like herbal remedies. There's a whole host of ways in which we can work through those things because there's different dimensions of being, right? There's the psyche, there's the soul, there's the physical body, and each element of being responds to different therapeutic approaches. So it's going to be nuanced based upon the individual and what they're contending with. And then there's other times where like, I don't know what I need, I just need help. And I'm like, great, let me dive into your field and I'm going to psychically look through your field and we're going to work through whatever is impacting you. And so I'll share with them, like, I'm witnessing this, I'm witnessing that, this is how it presents. And 9 out of 10 times, like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that is. And then we'll go into it like I just described for somebody who could identify what they wanted to work on.
That's pretty powerful and very custom designed. And I
Mm-hmm.
like that because you're right. A lot of people will already have a format or a recipe in place, and they'll follow that pretty much standard, basic approaches to many things. But I do believe, and I agree with you 100%, that we are in this accelerated expansion. And many of us who have done a lot of our work, there's just a few more nudges that need to be done. But we're so busy trying to help others that we're not taking enough time to work with somebody from your perspective and expertise to help you really dive in there and see if you can make some sense of it so you can move forward a little more evolved or through your metamorphosis. I personally feel like I've done so many metamorphoses that I'm not really sure what my actual shape is. You know what I mean? I feel like I've changed inside and out so many times, especially in the last decade or so, um, through no intentional thought of my own that I'm aware of. It's just occurring. Because even in our rest mode as healers, right? we're still processing everything from the day. Because as we know, when we're sleeping, our brain pathways are detoxing. But if we're not getting our proper sleep because we've overstressed ourselves during the day, as well as all the collective stress, we're really not getting those detox pathways to work as efficiently as maybe we'd like them to, but we don't recognize it.
Right. I mean, it's what they say, like, you can't see the forest through the trees. And so when we're in it, it's hard to see it. I don't think anyone is immune from that. And also because we are collective and separation is illusion, right? Like we have this perception that, you're Sandra, I'm Autumn. But the truth is that we're just mirroring different aspects of ourselves to one another. And as a product of that, anything that you do affects me, anything that I do affects you. But we can only see it from our own perspective, right? And so that's where like inadvertent outcomes occur, where you're not able to see the whole spectrum of being because you are limited to your immediate position within the whole. And so having someone such as myself or, a different healer or a different friend or a different colleague come in to provide that greater perspective is what enhances the opportunity for shift, change, and evolution. And so many healers come to me and business leaders come to me saying, I should be able to do this on my own. I'm like, no, none of us can do this on our own for many reasons. One, there's no such thing. We are all interconnected. So we have to do this together. And, if everything's frequency, let's just break it down to that. And you think of, trying to be more whole, trying to be, the brightest version of you. If you think of a single instrument that's being played, like a flute, and it's playing a single note, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's soothing, but then you bring in a violin. And that changes everything. It creates context, it creates depth, it creates a harmonic. And the flute by itself is amazing, the violin by itself is amazing, but together it's remarkable. We're bringing out the better elements of each other. And why would that be any different in how we're trying to move through our lives and how we're trying to show up in the world? We're always going to be better with one another in collaboration and in shifting and creation. And so this false concept of I can do it all on my own has really hindered people, society, and the collective in general. But the positive is that we're moving more and more and more and more into the remembering of our unity, the remembering of how we create the not just the balance but the harmonic, and that's going to be closer to our true beauty and our true nature.
Well, all I could see is like a single instrument moving into a band, which you brought more instruments in, right? And then you're
Mm-hmm.
bringing it into an orchestra, which there's
Mm-hmm.
many more. And then you need sort of a conductor to help with that because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many multiple levels. And then you bring it into the symphony,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is what you want to call the mega, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and all of us have to work together because it all starts with one instrument,
Mm-hmm.
right? It could be an instrument of any kind. So we
Mm-hmm.
are all instruments in a symphony of collective,
Mm-hmm.
but yet we're fumbling through like we're a single instrument.
Right, and even if one instrument is out of tune, right, you might be technically applying your skill absolutely perfectly. But if the instrument itself is out of tune, it still impacts everything else. There's so much nuance that the individual brings to the collective. And so you have an accountability as an individual to tune your instrument, right? And you have the accountability of the collective to be like, yo, your instrument is in tune, you need to figure it out. So right, there's the accountability piece, there's the cooperative piece that come together to create this masterful way of expressing ourselves together.
Yeah, it makes sense because there could be millions of us that are a C note,
Mhm.
but yet 99.9% are on a different C note because
Mhm.
we're out of tune.
Mhm.
And so we need to come to people like you who can help us fine tune
Mhm.
ourselves to the collective energies as individual that's
Mhm.
carrying the collective.
Mhm.
And the more of us that could individually fine tune ourselves, we're going
Mhm.
back out into the collective more fine
Mhm.
tuned.
Mhm. Well, and that's how, I mean, the history of humanity has evolved, right? You think about up until we had institutionalized education, we had apprentices and we had mentorships and we had, even with Chinese medicine, you had somebody who studied under a Chinese medicine master for 10 years before they were allowed to go out on their own and be trusted to do that. And you had, you know, magnificent artists like Michelangelo and Raphael and, you know, study under other masterful artists. And then once you hone in that tutelage, right? That mentorship, and you really find a comfort in that. It's from there you can then develop your own. It's from there that you can become the maestro. It's from there you can be like the Picasso who creates something new. And once you do that, then you can bring more of the collective into your space who find resonance with that level of mastery. But it's instrumental to get the basics down, and it's instrumental to learn the various ways in which to do something in order to build upon that, and to develop that new way of being and that expansion and that growth and that, you know, that plane that we're all stepping into.
So we are at a time where collectively there's a lot of chaos out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just paid attention to the last 6 years, right? Just the last 6 years alone. Um, we are seeing an acceleration
Mm-hmm.
in the cleansing of Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And um, some of that dirt that's been in the corners are now spreading out into the middle of the floor so you can actually take a
Right.
look at them and go, oh,
Right.
should have cleaned those corners a long time ago, but I didn't. And now my whole floor is a little dirty.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a worldwide thing. I mean, nobody ever knows when their windshield's really dirty until they clean it, right? Once you clean your windshield or your glasses, and you're like, whoa, I had no idea I was looking through this hazy film.
Mm-hmm.
We are living in a time where there's just a lot of things surfacing. And there are a lot of healers that, and I know you work with healers of healers, there's a lot of healers that detach themselves to the best of their ability from news and things like that, simply because I was trained to do this back in the 90s because it just affected my nervous system so much. And so when we're dealing with a lot of this collective unknownness, but we know it's going on out there, what are some of the things you may suggest to someone who's done a lot of their trauma work or hypnosis or body work or, meditation and all the things that they would do to become semi masterful at what it is that they're doing as a healer, right? Because those are the type of people that are coming to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? People who have done a lot of their work. Um, what are some of the things that we could suggest? And I know it's an individual thing, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Right.
Don't bite your nails off. Just
What nails? No, I'm kidding.
you don't have to give
Um,
any. You can we can still abide by HIPAA. We don't need to give any names or anything. But like, it's just a scenario of some sort of like what we could do.
it's a great question. And when you're stepping into the great unknown, it's unknown, right? There isn't, it's kind of like you have to figure it out as you go along. And so, what I tell people is you have to trust your own inner compass more than anything else. Like, I can tell you all the things, I can say X, Y, Z, and ABC, and at the end of the day, it may not even matter. You know, I tell people take whatever I say with a grain of salt. because their own inner compass is their truth, right? That's going to lead them into, you know, any phenomenon with the greatest outcome possible. But when it comes to the external world, the things that are outside of them, we don't have any control over things outside of ourselves. We only have direct influence on the things that are within us and the things that are immediately in front of us. So, my advice is like deal with what's immediately in front of you. And then that is going to help that person or that thing respond and engage with whatever is next in front of them. And that's going to then help that person or thing, you know, be its best thing for the next thing it's in front of. Trying to take on the entire world and all of the phenomenon that's happening outside of us is an impossible thing to try and carry on one's shoulders. And it's an impossible thing to carry on one's shoulders because no one person created it, right? We all contributed to it on some level, whether unconscious, subconscious, you know, soul contract, whatever level you want to put it on. It was all created together. So the only way to undo it or to redo it is together. And the only way to do it together is to do it one moment at a time, one person at a time, one contact at a time, one event at a time. And it ripples out infinitely, moment by moment by moment by moment. So that's my recommendation, is just like pay attention to what's in front of you. Let your own inner compass guide you through that. Be and live, embody, and express those core elements of yourself that can then guide, assist, help, nurture, and support whomever and whatever you're engaging with to be that as well, or be their own version of that as well.
Yes, because we're all receivers. We're
Mm-hmm.
all a receiver. So, we're transmitting constantly, bringing in, taking out, bringing in, taking out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're bringing in so much we have no idea that we didn't take out enough,
Mm-hmm.
and it clogs us. So there's times like I could be laying in bed and I've got multiple random things going through my mind. I'm like, whoa, that didn't cross my path today. What is happening here? And I
Mm-hmm.
can I can first off step up and acknowledge it. And then I can also step out and say, okay, this shit's got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
This is taking up space, you know, and do my breath work and ask for my guide team to come in. But that's really kind of the extent of what I can do outside of all the things that I know that I'm taking in that interfere, that corrupt and distort and um, you know, the receiver, the transmitter, so it's not as operating as optimally as it should when it was in its original form because we've been living life as we
Mm-hmm.
do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because I was thinking when you were saying something that I look at energy like air. You can't see it. It's there when you're inside and outside, right? If it picks up speed, you can see the effects of the air on a tree or on the weather or whatever. But energy is air. There is so much energy that people don't understand. It doesn't have to be a physical, tangible thing that you've experienced. There's so many things going through the airways
Mm-hmm.
collectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how, let's just say you and I are thousands of miles apart, right? But the wind travels. And at one moment, I could think about you, you could think about me. And next thing you know, we're texting, going, I was just thinking about you.
Right.
So, this is the energetic pathways that are unseen that many of our viewers may not even understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
That every single thing is energy, no matter what the speed of that energy is. But it's all hitting us every single day because our subconscious is a 24-hour surveillance cam and
Mm-hmm.
it's recording everything. Even if you're walking briskly by something and you are paying it what you think is consciously no mind, your entire conscious and your body and energy field are collecting, 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 collecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not learning how to process and filtrate that, especially if we're in the energetic healing world, right? Because we're taking on everybody else's things and doing our work, whatever that may look like in modality or form. And those are the kinds of things you can bring to your table and have you tune in and help us work through.
Right. So when clients and patients, people come to me about, how this works or what they can expect and why it works a certain way. Everything you just said is an element of what I share with them. And share with them, energy isn't confined to space and time. Energy is infinite. Science has proven you can affect an atom or a molecule in a vacuum in, the United States, and it will impact another atom or molecule in like Europe because of that interconnectedness. It's like you and I are having a real time conversation, and you're on the east coast of North America, I'm on the west coast of North America, and there's no delay. And so there's these invisible frequencies that are moving through what we're going to call space and time in order for us to have this moment. And spiritual work, healing, it has that same infinite dimension to it. And so when it comes to the bombardment of frequencies and the bombardment of energetics and the bombardment of consciousness, what I try to do to the best of my ability is work with people with where they are at in their relationship with that information, bring them greater perspective, bring them greater awareness, and assist them with either the existing tools they have, or bring them with new tools that they have, or just help them tweak what it is that they're doing. Because sometimes what we've been utilizing and what we have been employing has worked to a certain point, and then it doesn't take us to the next step. It's like it'll bring me to this place right here, but I'm done with this place right here. I need to go to the next place. And sometimes it's just a little adjustment, right? Sometimes it's just a subtle shift that opens everything up. And that is part of what I try to contribute to the individuals that I work with, is like they have so much that they're bringing. They just need a frequency to create a simple adjustment. Sometimes that's a perspective, sometimes it's a tool, sometimes it's adjustment. It can vary in what that looks like, but that subtle shift can change the entire dynamic for them.
Yeah, and I noticed, and I can only speak for me and a few other people that I know that are in the healing arts, that we've outgrown a lot of the old modalities.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not, what worked yesterday is not working in my today, right? So I'm constantly having to bob, weave, tweak, and find another filter. Because if not, then I disconnect, and a lot of F bombs are getting dropped all day. And I mean that. And I don't do it in a mean way, but I'm just like, what the kind of thing.
Exasperation,
But
yeah.
at the same time, every single time that those things occur, a little bit of adrenaline and cortisol just seep right out. Now that's all over, you know, the waters, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. And even though I think it's funny, but after doing that for a number of times a month, it's like you just fried yourself out. And I'm not even living what I would consider but most people's normal jobs, like the 9 to 5, kind of oblivious to what is truly going on energetically and spiritually, that we are at a place where we have an opportunity to recreate ourselves and recreate Earth and recreate the energies and direct things so that we're healthier in every sense of the word,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, all right, do you have anything that you want to add? Because we know you're going to be coming back. What do we want to add?
Oh my gosh. I mean, love, always love, always love. um,
For
um,
sure.
yeah. And just, you know, it's easy to get distracted by the weight of things. It's easy to succumb to the heaviness of all the things that are transpiring. And I just want to add to just try to shift the angle of what you're looking at. Try to take on another lens of like, oh, this is exciting. Look at all the things we get to change. Look at all the things we get to do. Look at all the things that we get to create new, not just for ourselves, but for everyone that matters. And that's every person on the planet. But maybe what matters to you looks a little different to what matters to somebody else. And knowing that each person is going to address and take care of the individual things that matter to them so that all things will be taken care of. But this is an exciting time to be in. It's an exciting opportunity for us to really be living in, not living just through, but living in.
Yeah, that's a really good point because living in has a different consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
a different intention
Mm-hmm.
that because living in means you're going to feel, see, and sense
Mm-hmm.
things much differently.
Mm-hmm.
And you may translate differently, but most people get very uncomfortable when they're sitting still or they're in something.
Right.
They may have retrospect after it's occurred
Mm-hmm.
about how they thought they handled it, but if you were to videotape it, all the energetic bodies, physically, mentally, spiritually, etherically, etc., might look like it's been hit with a taser gun, and yet you thought you were so calm, cool, and collected through it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But well, wow, holy wow, Dr. Autumn Edwards, thank you so much for joining. Keep it spiritually simple. I love our time together. I can't wait to have you come back. And all you viewers out there, if you want to see us, jump over to my YouTube channel, Sandra McGellis, and you can actually see the faces and the voices. But remember, you got to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes of this show. All right, Dr. Autumn, we will see you next time. Can you say goodbye to everybody?
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with you.
Yes. And we will have all of her information in the description, her website, and how to get in touch with her in the description. Do you want to quickly say it?
Oh, sure. www.drautumnedwards.com or www.autumnedwards.com. And you can always feel free to reach me on my cell number, which is 503-709-6226. Thanks so
Yep.
much.
We'll put all that in the description. All right.
Right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.